Hey there. A lot of people hear the word impeachment and think it automatically means removal from office. That's not really how it works. Impeachment is a process, not a punishment. And it happens in stages across two different branches of Congress. Let's walk through how it actually works, why it won't happen anytime soon, and why it must happen right away.
Step 1. Impeachment begins in the House. Impeachment always starts in the House of Representatives. Any single member can introduce articles of impeachment, which are formal accusations that a president committed high crimes and misdemeanors. That phrase does not mean only criminal acts. It includes abuses of power, violations of public trust, or conduct incompatible with the office. A president does not need to be arrested, indicted, or convicted of a crime to be impeached.
Impeachment can involve crimes, but it's not limited to crimes. Congress is deciding a constitutional question, whether a president is fit to remain in office. A simple majority of the House is required to authorize investigations, issue subpoenas, or ultimately adopt articles of impeachment. Step 2, investigation and evidence gathering. Once impeachment proceeds, the House assigns the matter to committees, most often the House Judiciary Committee, which is currently under the direction of Jim Jordan. This phase works like a grand jury, gathering documents, hearing testimony, and determining whether there is sufficient evidence to accuse. The House is not a courtroom, and it sets its own investigative rules as long as those rules remain within the Constitution. The goal is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt, but whether the evidence justifies impeachment. Step 3, committee vote on the articles. If the committee finds sufficient evidence, they will draft specific articles of impeachment. Each article is voted on separately, and a simple majority is required to pass an article out of committee and then be sent to the full House. Step 4, the full House vote. The full House, all 435 members, debate and vote on each article. A simple majority on any single article equals impeachment. At this point, the president is formally charged but not removed. Impeachment is similar to an indictment but not a conviction.
Step 5. The case moves to the Senate. The House appoints impeachment managers to present the case to the Senate, which then prepares for trial.
Step 6. The Senate trial. The Senate conducts a trial, and in a presidential impeachment, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court presides. That's John Roberts. I feel like I should point out that he is the man who, in my opinion, violated the Constitution by forcing the Colorado Supreme Court to allow a man who participated in an insurrection to run for president. I only mention that because I think it absolutely matters. Now, the House managers prosecute and the president's legal team will defend. The Senate sets its own rules, which may include evidence presentation, witnesses, or written questions from senators. This is a political and constitutional trial, not a criminal trial. Step 7, the Senate votes. The Senate votes on each article of impeachment. 2/3 of the 100 senators present must vote to convict in order to remove a president. During the last two impeachments of Trump, the Senate votes were 53 to 47 in both impeachments, obstruction of Congress and abuse of power. There was a majority that wanted to remove him from office, but not a 2/3 majority. If that threshold is not met, the president is acquitted and he can remain in office, but the impeachment still stands. Step 8, there's one final step that may occur. If the president is convicted and removed, the Senate may hold a separate vote to bar that president from ever holding a future federal office again. This requires only a simple majority. Okay, now here's why this won't happen. It's likely that many of you watching are baffled by the fact that impeachment hasn't already happened. I mean, after all of the screaming about the Biden crime family enriching themselves, and now we know that Trump and his family are $1.6 billion richer that we know of in just 1 year. And there's the use of military force in Venezuela without congressional approval. Remember, people were murdered in those boat bombings with no evidence that they were drug smugglers, and some of those men were clearly surrendering. We've also seen domestic militarization that has caused multiple murders of innocent people and the arrest and disappearance of untold numbers of people, all without due process or warrants. We've seen an absolute disrespect for judicial orders, and almost daily we have to endure some type of election interference as the groundwork to manipulate or even cancel the upcoming midterms is in full effect. And that's not even mentioning the fact that Trump has so clearly, obviously, deeply involved in the Epstein scandal. So why has no one taken any action on these or the many, many other clearly impeachable actions, events, dealings, etc.? I want to be super clear here. I am wading into the realm of opinion, but I think it's important to consider these things, to give a wider view of what we're dealing with. One reason we see no accountability is that Republicans hold a slim majority in the House and in the Senate. Remember when Mitch McConnell refused to even consider impeachment because he didn't want to do the work of the opposition party? Well, in refusing to take necessary action, Mitch also refused to do the work of the Constitution and his job. And now we have a Congress with an excuse to take no action when surrounded by obvious criminal activity. Another reason is potential corruption. Many in Congress are likely involved in something shady, and they know Trump will expose them, so they can't speak out because they'll find themselves in the exact same trouble. This could include insider trading, it could include deals on contracts, it could include all kinds of things that we already know Trump is involved in. He's going to drag those people into it as well, and they know there are consequences. There's one more reason that is incredibly telling and a reflection of our entire political landscape and helps explain why this nation is how it is. Remember, with every controversy in this administration, and I mean all of them, someone is making millions upon millions of dollars, has enormous government contracts, or is in a position of extreme power. Trump's inauguration wasn't filled with artists, musicians, thought leaders, or people trying to make the world a better place. It was packed with powerful CEOs and oligarchs looking to increase their own power. Guess who funds most political donations? The same people. We've seen something strange happen since Trump's first presidency. While the average family or average worker are making less and less as prices soar higher and higher, the 1% have acquired grotesque wealth. They are hoarding more money than you can even contemplate. And that's the big problem. Imagine this. If you gave every member of Congress, that's 535 elected officials, all 435 members of the House and 100 members of the Senate, Republicans and Democrats, if you gave all of them $20 million apiece, it would cost you just under $11 billion. Okay, but who has $11 billion to just blow on politicians? The top 10 richest people, just the first 10, have well over $100 billion. That means that in this completely made-up scenario, each one could purchase every member of Congress for $20 million apiece and spend far less than 10% of their total wealth. And for some, that total amount is not even enough to question the investment. How long would it take you to 10x an investment like that with government contracts, canceled regulations, or unfair trade advantages? So if wealthy people have the kind of money to easily control weak politicians, what kind of chance do the rest of us have to get healthcare improvements, fair pay protections, or important regulations that protect communities or our life-sustaining natural assets like clean air and clean water? That kind of money is why virtually every issue in the last 50 years remains unresolved. It's also why so much is spent to keep all of us divided. Hell, Americans are famous all over the world for fighting against our own interest, as much as we fight to improve our lives. Finally, why do I think impeachment must happen right away? If you look at the last year and the intentions that have been stated by Trump, it is clear that we are months, maybe weeks, maybe even just days from the rule of law being completely destroyed in this country. Trump has already stated more than once that if he loses the midterms, he will be impeached. He's also stated that much of his administration and his friends would also be in legal trouble. He's acknowledged that they're breaking the law, and I don't think he cares about being impeached. I think he's worried about going to prison. He will do anything to avoid losing the midterms. If that means manipulating the elections with like what he's doing in Georgia by confiscating votes and voter rolls and demanding that other states give their voter rolls, he's going to do that. If it means canceling the elections outright, he will do that. As citizens of the United States, we must demand every effort from our politicians right now. If there are obvious attacks on and violations of the Constitution, we need to demand that our elected officials take action right now. Waiting for the midterms is too late, in my opinion. Those that represent us need to go on record right now and state that they want something done right now. They need to be fighting for us now. And if they're not, they need to explain why. But they won't do any of that unless we demand that they do it. Oligarchs and corporations have a stranglehold on this nation. By boycotting with our dollars and protesting with our voices, we can turn this around. But it won't be fast and it won't be easy. But it is possible. Just ask Target or Tesla. They'll tell you. If we're divided, it will not happen at all. If we're silent, it's impossible. Make your voice heard. Contact those who represent you. It doesn't matter what party they're in. They all took the same oath to the Constitution. If they can't honor that, demand their resignation. Finally, I just want to say this channel was never supposed to be about politics. I wanted to simply celebrate nature and those who have dedicated their lives to making the world a better place by helping heal the places we've damaged or create change that benefits all of us. That's it. That's all I was looking for. But I felt compelled to discuss some issues of things that I was seeing, things that are a danger, in my opinion, to all of us. And I wanted to share my thoughts out loud. Thanks for watching. Stay positive, stay safe, stay hopeful.